Hello, and in today's video we're going to be looking at Sidequest apps. Now, as you saw, I very quickly there went to apps, went to the top right of the apps and selected unknown sources. I then loaded up one of the various side-loaded apps that I had, in this particular instance, a World War I warplane game, which we'll come back to because it's rather excellent actually. Now, on the actual Oculus infrastructure, you normally have to download official apps off the Oculus store. So if you want to load Sidequest stuff, what you're going to need to do is unlock the dev mode of your Oculus. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to go into the app on your phone or your tablet, enable dev mode, and that will take you off to a website where you have to register as a developer. So you create an organization and you have to supply them either with a credit card or a mobile phone number to do that. And that's pretty much it. Now that shouldn't be that big a deal because you're probably giving your credit card info to Facebook already for buying stuff off the Oculus store. So that is a bit of a problem, a bit annoying, but you know, it's one of those things. However, you can now develop your own games for the Oculus in theory using Unity, and there's a few really good videos on YouTube how to do that. Or alternatively, you can use Sidequest to download some various mods and apps. Now, one of the best ones to get hold of is if you've bought Virtual Desktop off the Oculus store, you can modify it with a side-loaded feature that allows you to do Wi-Fi streaming to your PC. So I've done that, and that's something I'll be looking at in a future video. You can also download an unofficial port of both Doom and the original Half-Life, and you do need to own the original games on Steam, and then you just transfer effectively like the pack files across onto your Oculus. And that's all pretty easy to do. Now, you are going to need a USB cable to transfer the data backwards and forwards between your Oculus and your PC. But as I say, it's pretty easy, and as you can see, I've managed to, in less than a week, work out how to do it and get several apps installed. Now, if I remember correctly, I've got Doom 3, Half-Life, a Virtual Boy emulator, and of course this, which is a really good World War I flight sim. Now, it's a bit arcadey, and in some ways it reminds me of Wings, which was a classic cinemaware game that I used to really enjoy back in the day on my Amiga. And the one downside to this game is it can give you pretty serious motion sickness. Pulling some of these tight high G turns and doing an up and over, climb and dive. Oh yeah, it gets your stomach going. And rather interestingly, this demo version gives you, I think, 2 missions as the Germans, and I believe we're taking on, I can't remember if they're DH2s or DH4s. Anyway, it's the Pusher British plane, which was the Happy Hunt in, I think it was Bloody April it was called, in World War I, where the German technology was totally dominant. They had planes that could climb and go faster than the Allies. They could shoot through the propellers. And yeah, there's a really good selection of planes you can get and upgrade, which we'll come on to later. Now, this first mission does suffer from a lot of the problems I find with World War I combat sim sort of games, where you get almost endless wave after wave of enemies coming at you who don't have necessarily the best AI. But yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I'm trying to fire off a flare here. Unfortunately, I shoot it off instantly. But there you go. I was thinking, oh, maybe you could use a flare to take down one of these hot air balloons. Anyway, they're pretty tough and hard to bring down, and we'll come back to them. As you can see, I'm trying to fire it off, but apparently it needs reloading. But what's great about this on VR, of course, is you can use your hands to steer the stick to move your plane around, and then look around with your head like you would do in a real plane. One of the limitations of flying on a flat screen is it's quite tricky to simulate looking around and moving around separately. Now, MechWarrior Online did it fairly well, where you could actually be marching in one direction whilst looking in another, and that was using the keyboard to move and the mouse to look. But it's not as good as it is doing it with VR, so I'm looking forward to trying out some mech warrior type games on the Oculus. But this game is fantastic. As I say, the downside was the nausea-inducing manoeuvres you could do. And yeah, I think it's pretty good. I am tempted to buy the full version, which I believe is a $10 upgrade. Now, I'm rather hoping it would actually officially come to Oculus, because it is a bit of a pain in not showing up as a nice pretty icon on your Oculus, and you're having to go and hunt for it in non-standard sources and download it. But it's not a major deal, and the sound effects are pretty good. Now, I do need to work out how to place my hands, because you'll hear my machine guns clicking a lot, and apparently I think that's because my thumb is pressing the reload button, so I'm constantly sort of like reloading my machine guns, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, I guess. Now, one thing I do need to get a bit more experience with this is how long does your fuel last, how long does your ammo last, because you can actually upgrade various bits of your plane, and one of them is ammo, so I'm wondering what bigger difference that actually has. Maybe it's how many shots you can do before you need to reload, because I noticed the machine gun sort of lets off a load of bullets and then you have to reload it. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to see. Now, as a simulator, I am not sure this is 100% accurate. It's definitely on the arcade side of gameplay rather than the full-on sim. Now, if you want to play a full-on sim, I've had recommended to me IL-2, but there's a download for it. I think it's called Flying Circuses, which is rather expensive, at something like $70. And you will need to hook up your PC to your Oculus for that to work. But yeah, if you're after a hardcore simulator, games like War Thunder in simulation mode and IL-2 might be better. Now, there is an option in this game to turn on more realistic flight, which I'm probably going to have a look at. And as you can see here, I am customizing my Fokker D7, I believe it is. So I'm going to go with blue, so I'm hidden in the sky better, because, you know, in reality, a lot of these planes were painted ridiculous colours. I mean, famously, Rick Tofton had his plane painted bright red. Also, that German cross on the side of the fuselage is not ideal. It's sort of saying shoot here to kill the pilot, but there you go. But yeah, it's amazing technology they had back in the day. I mean, they only learned to fly a few years before, and suddenly you've got this huge surge of technology where they're building better and better flying machines to like take people out. Now, obviously, the air war is something that doesn't always get covered very much. You know, lots of focus on the trench warfare. But obviously, the airplanes became important for spotting for artillery, spotting troop movements, etc. So dominating the air became a major factor and really drove, as I say, a lot of the technical innovations. Now, with this game, you've got air patrol, you've got hot air balloons, and I think bombing runs on battleships. I've not done the battleship mission, but apparently it looks like you have to fly over the ships and drop a bomb by hand out the side, which is how they actually did things back in the day, which is ridiculous, really. Anyway, as you can see, I've got a load of money from my previous mission, shot down quite a few planes. So I'm now doing all the upgrades on my one plane. Obviously, with more money, you can actually buy extra planes as well. But because this is a demo, I'm not sure how big a deal that is. Anyway, you can defend some AA, destroy some boats, or take down some balloons, which is what I'm going to do here. Now, this flashing medal does something with your careers, and I don't seem to be able to work out how to do that. I'm not sure if that's something that's maybe disabled in the demo or something. Might need to read the website to give it a go. So anyway, we're going to jump back into our plane, and as you can see, you use your right hand to steer your plane and your left hand to throttle up and throttle down. You move your head around to actually look around, and then you've got trigger buttons to shoot your machine guns and the side buttons to reload. And rather handily, there is actually a little notepad in your cockpit that you can look at that gives you some guidance as to what you should be doing. So yeah, it's a pretty good little game, and as a free demo, very impressed. And as I say, if you can find a way around the motion sickness, I think that would be great. But the quality of the graphics is, I mean, it's not amazing, but it's pretty good and very realistic. And of course, being VR, you really do get a sense of flying, which is great. Obviously, with a motion seat, it would be even better. Now, being sort of old-fashioned technology, you have to get pretty close to get a definite hit in. So mid-air collisions is always a bit of a concern. Now, I'm spending a lot of time taking out some of the combat air patrol here, but my actual mission is to shoot down the balloons. So after I've taken out some of the planes, I will then be feeling a bit safer, and then I can do my runs on the balloons, because you sort of have to approach them almost in a dead straight, and that means they can get on your tail and take you out quite easily. And there's some nice lighting effects there. I mean, look how that water's playing across the waves down on the sea there. Pretty good. I also like to tag people, get them pouring some oil. It makes them think a bit more about coming after you. Now, it'd be interesting to see if there's going to be a multiplayer option for this, because that could be pretty impressive as well. But yeah, overall, big thumbs up from me. So definitely try this out. So remember, if you want to have a go, what you're going to need to do is go and get hold of Sidequest, activate developer mode on your Oculus. You're then going to hook up your Oculus to your PC, load up Sidequest, download the application onto your Oculus, and away you go. And if you want the full version, obviously you're going to have to pay out about $10, it seems. So yeah, that's definitely a big thumbs up from me. Anyway, I'll leave this to play out for a bit, and then that'll be it for this video. So yeah, definitely check out Doom, Half-Life. I think there's a mod for Quake. Apparently there is a mod for Beat Saber to use custom songs that I'd like to have a look at, but I'm a bit more nervous about that one, because apparently you have to update it quite frequently. Anyway, there you go. So that's it for now. Until the next video, happy gaming.